For years, we were told to smile and pop blush right on the apples of our cheeks. It's an intuitive technique, but one that might not be serving you anymore. In the next 20 minutes, I'm not just going to show you where to place your cream blush for a beautiful, instant lift. I'm going to show you the science of why it works, how to pick the perfect color, and 3 different blending techniques for a seamless finish. Let's start with mistake number 1. The single biggest mistake we inherited from decades of beauty advice is the smile in place rule. Think about it. When you smile, the apple of your cheek pushes up. That's a dynamic position. Once you relax your face, that flesh settles lower. Your beautiful blush ends up below the actual high point of your cheekbone. This mistake is not about the color you choose. It's purely geometry. When we place a color cue on the lower part of the face, it draws the eye downward. This can inadvertently make the face look heavier or simply negate the effort you put into the rest of your look. We are looking for visual lift and energy, not a drop. Grab your compact and feel your face for a moment. Smile wide, then relax. See how much that fleshy area moves? If your cream blush is applied to that moving target, it spends most of its day emphasizing the natural pull of gravity. But there's great news. Correcting this is incredibly simple, and it starts with ignoring the traditional apple advice entirely. If you want more easy, impactful adjustments like this that make a real difference in your everyday routine, please subscribe. We focus on simple, proven techniques for real confidence. In the next segment, we're going to physically demonstrate the mistake on one side of the face so you can see exactly what to avoid before we reveal the lifting technique. Now let's see this common mistake in action. I've taken a beautiful rosy cream blush, and I'm going to apply it only to the side of the face we are calling the mistake side. Remember the rule: smile, locate the highest point of the cheek, the fleshy part, and tap the product on. Watch what happens as I blend it out. It looks bright and lovely while I hold the smile. But now, relax the face. See how the color is centered but slightly low? It occupies the area below the actual bone structure. This placement makes the cheek look rounder, but critically, it doesn't give us that upward visual momentum we're seeking. The color sits right where gravity wants to pull things. This isn't a bad look for a young person who has a lot of natural volume, but for those of us 55 and better, we want to counteract that settled look. This mistake is subtle, but highly effective at sabotaging a lifted look. It's a very common habit, so don't feel bad if you've been doing it this way for years. Now, let's prepare the other side of the face for the correction. This is the asterisk lift and lock technique, DOXIS. Instead of focusing on the fleshy apple, we are going to focus entirely on the bone structure. Place your fingers under your cheekbone and gently push up. You can feel the hard, sharp line of the bone. This is where we want our color to sit, high and mighty. The goal is to draw the eye up toward the outer corner of the eye and the temple. This is the visual anchor point for lift. To truly understand this, think of your blush as a spotlight. Where you shine the light is where the viewer's eye will go. If the light is low, the attention is low. We want the spotlight to hit the highest, most naturally elevated point of the face. In the next section, I will show you the exact 3-point placement that guarantees a perfect upward blend every single time. without fail. This is the secret to locking in that youthful energy. We call this the lift and lock method because it uses the bone structure itself to lock the color into a lifted position. Forget the smile. You're going to feel for the bone right under your eye socket and follow it diagonally outward. I use a simple 3-dot placement trick that makes this foolproof. Take your cream blush, I prefer a soft, buildable formula, and place your first small dot directly above the highest part of your cheekbone near the outer corner of your eye. This is your anchor dot. The second dot goes slightly below the first, following the upward diagonal line toward your hairline. This dot should be positioned right where your cheekbone starts to crest. It's the bulk of your color. The third dot is placed higher and farther out, near the tail end of your eyebrow, or just slightly above it on the temple. This is the crucial lifting dot. It pulls the entire visual line upward and outward, giving that sculpted, airy effect. Notice that none of these 3 dots are near the center of the face, and they all follow a gentle upward curve. Now for the magic, blending. We never blend down. Always move your brush or fingers upward and outward. Use soft, tapping motions to melt the product into the skin first. Then, use small, feathery sweeps to diffuse the color toward your hairline and temple. The key is to keep the majority of the pigment concentrated along that high bone line. We are lifting the entire area, not just applying color. Take a moment to look at the mistake side versus the lift and lock side. The difference is often striking. The side where we applied the blush high instantly looks more defined and energetic, simply because the eye is drawn to the high point of the face. This technique works because it mimics the natural shadowing and light reflection of youthful volume. But placement is only half the battle. If you choose the wrong color or use the wrong tool, even perfect placement can fall flat. So what shades work best for this lifting effect? And what tools should you be using with cream formulas? That's our focus for the next few minutes. Choosing the right color is crucial for success with the lift and lock method. When we're aiming for a fresh, lifted look on mature skin, we need shades that brighten without creating harsh contrast. Avoid heavily brown or muddy colors. While these are often used for contour, they can sometimes look dull or heavy when used as a main blush color. Remember, we want light and lift. Instead, gravitate toward rosy, luminous shades. Think soft corals, peachy pinks, or berry tones that have a hint of transparency. These shades mimic a healthy, natural flush that appears when blood rushes to the surface, a sign associated with vitality. The texture of the cream blush also matters immensely. Look for formulas described as luminous, dewy, or skin-like. Extremely matte cream blushes can sometimes settle into texture or look flat. The subtle sheen in a luminous cream formula helps catch the light on that high point of the cheekbone, which instantly amplifies the lifting effect. A fantastic quick tip: hold the blush color up to your face in natural light. If it looks too bright or too deep in the pan, it might be challenging to blend into a seamless lift. Aim for something that looks harmonious with your natural lip or cheek color, just slightly more saturated. A good blush color should look like your color, only better. Now let's talk tools. Cream blush demands a specific application approach. and the tool you choose determines the finish. There are 3 main ways to apply cream blush effectively, and each one creates a slightly different mood. Deciding which one is right for your skin type is the key to achieving that flawless, diffused finish. Do you prefer warmth, precision, or a sheer veil? We'll look at all 3. The first and simplest way to apply cream blush is using your asterisk. Dapper fingers. This is perfect if you want that natural, melt into the skin look. Your body heat naturally warms up the cream product, which allows it to blend seamlessly and effortlessly. If your cream blush is particularly stiff or heavily pigmented, your fingertips are your best tool for getting a soft, diffused placement. The technique is simple. Tap, tap, tap. Use your middle finger to pick up a small amount of product. Apply the 3 dots using the lift and lock placement we discussed. Then, use that same finger to gently tap the product upward and outward. Avoid rubbing or dragging, which can disturb your foundation or base layer. Just gentle, consistent tapping melts the cream right into your skin for a fresh flush. Next, we have the asterisk stippling brush. This is a great choice if you prefer a more precise application or if you want a slightly more airbrushed finish. A stippling brush has 2 lengths of bristles, which allows it to apply product softly without pushing too much into the skin. This prevents the blush from settling into fine lines. When using a stippling brush, load a small amount of blush onto the very tips of the bristles. Use small, circular buffing motions to blend the 3 dots together, always moving in that upward diagonal direction. The brush is fantastic for building up color gradually. If you find your blush tends to disappear quickly, the brush gives you a bit more saturation control. Finally, consider the asterisk Torn Damp makeup sponge. This is my favorite tool for achieving the sheerest, most skin-like finish. If you worry about your blush looking too heavy or cakey, a damp sponge is the answer. The dampness shears out the product beautifully. Lightly press the sponge into the cream blush pot. Then press the sponge gently over your 3 placement dots. The sponge is superb for pressing the product into the skin rather than laying it on top, which significantly boosts retention and realism. Try all 3 methods and see which one gives you the look and feel you enjoy most. Remember, the best technique is the one that makes you feel the most confident. If you found this guidance useful so far, hit that like button to let us know. Now let's address some common trouble spots. Even with perfect placement, there are 2 blending mistakes that can instantly undermine the lifted effect. The first major blending mistake is blending too far downward. We talked about drawing the eye up, but many people instinctively start to blend color downward, mimicking the way powder blush might have been applied decades ago. If you sweep the cream blush down toward the hollow of the cheek, you instantly lose the lift. That high anchor dot near the outer eye should be the highest point of the pigment. Ensure all your blending efforts stay on or above that strong cheekbone line. If you accidentally apply too much product or blend too low, don't panic. This is the fix. Take your damp sponge or the brush you used for your foundation, the one with no extra product on it, and gently tap the lower edge of the blush. This pressing motion softens the border and essentially erases the lower portion, lifting the color back up where it belongs. Think of it as painting with an eraser, cleaning up the lines below your main color. The second common mistake is not blending the edges enough near the hairline. Cream blush is meant to transition seamlessly into your natural skin tone. If you see a hard, distinct line of color where the blush ends and your temple begins, it looks unnatural and pulls focus. To correct this, use a clean, fluffy brush, a bit larger than your stippling brush, and softly blend the extreme outer edge of the blush right into the hairline. This creates a halo effect. The color should simply melt away. When your blush looks like it's coming from times within the skin, that's when you know you've achieved the perfect lift. Remember, the center of the color should be the most vibrant, and the edges should be invisible. Now let's look at the finished results side by side. The contrast is more than just color, it's structure. On the mistake side, the color sits low and slightly centered. On the lift and lock side, the color creates a beautiful upward sweep that makes the entire cheek area look firmer and more elevated. This technique is especially fantastic when wearing glasses, as the frame often naturally highlights that high cheekbone area. But what if you have a face shape that's very round or very long? Does this one technique truly work for everyone? We need to talk about customizing this for your unique features. The beautiful thing about focusing on the bone structure is that the lift and lock method is universally applicable, but we can customize the time angle of the lift to suit any face shape. If your face shape is naturally rounder or fuller, you want to emphasize vertical lift to create length. For this adaptation, slightly shift your 3 placement dots so they are a bit closer together and blend them more vertically upward toward the temple. Focus on keeping the product very concentrated high up. Avoid blending horizontally toward the nose at all costs. The goal here is to narrow the focus and lift the eye. This creates the illusion of definition and length along the jawline. Conversely, if you have a longer or more narrow face, you might want to introduce some horizontal balance. For this, your 3 placement dots should be spaced slightly farther apart, and your blending should be more outward toward the ear rather than strictly upward toward the temple. You are essentially creating a visual bridge that adds a touch of width to the mid-face. The key is balance. You still want the lift, but you want to distribute the color slightly more horizontally to fill space. For those with very angular or heart-shaped faces, placement is about softening the natural sharpness. You can afford to place the blush just slightly more forward on the cheekbone while still maintaining the upward sweep. The cream texture will help diffuse the sharper angles, making the entire look softer and more harmonious. The constant rule remains: always place the blush on the highest point of the cheekbone, never below it, regardless of your face shape. Your bone structure is the guide. Feel for that crest and place the color right on top. This personalized approach guarantees that the lifted effect looks natural, not painted on. Now let's talk about the longevity of the lift. A creamy formula can sometimes slip or fade by the afternoon. We have 2 quick tips to lock that beautiful lift in place and make sure your confidence lasts all day. Longevity is key, especially if you want that beautiful lift to last through an entire day. Cream blush is wonderful for its natural dewy finish, but that dewy quality can sometimes mean it doesn't set completely. Our first technique for lasting lift is called the *Turenne Cream dash powder sandwich. After you've applied and blended your cream blush perfectly, using the lift and lock method, take a small amount of translucent powder on a fluffy brush. Gently tap this powder only over the area, not around the blush. This sets the base and prevents the cream product from migrating. Avoid applying a heavy layer of powder directly onto the blush itself, as this can dull the luminous finish we worked hard to achieve. Alternatively, if you want maximum hold and an extra boost of color, use a matching powder blush right over the cream. This is the ultimate locking strategy. Select a powder blush shade that is similar or slightly sheerer than your cream. Using a soft brush, lightly dust the powder over the cream, focusing strictly on the same elevated zone. The cream acts as a primer, and the powder seals it, creating an incredible, multidimensional color that will not budge. This technique also helps intensify the lift because you are layering color intensity in the perfect spot. A quick note on application order. Always apply cream blush after your foundation and concealer. If you apply it underneath, the blending process will likely lift away your base layer, leading to patchiness. Cream first, then powder to set. We have now covered the mistake, the correct placement, color selection, tool options, and lasting power. You have a complete, evidence-based strategy for using cream blush to achieve an instant, flattering lift. Before we wrap up, let's quickly revisit the single most important rule from this entire tutorial, and then put all 8 of these pieces together in a simple recap you can instantly apply tomorrow morning.